Hi everybody, welcome to the channel for a new battle report. So this is the third game of the French tournament that I'm playing at the moment with my Infernal Dwarves. We were on table number 1 after the two first rounds that we capped. So we got huge win, so did our opponents. So it was going to be a competitive third round and I was paired against Sook, who was playing Demon Legion. My list is slightly changed from the previous game. It's something that I really like about this tournament. First of all, we have 2 weeks between each round, which leaves enough time to plan the game. And second of all, after each round, you can slightly modify your list if you want to. And this is cool because when you're kind of stuck in a tournament for like this one for 8 weeks total, you might want to change slightly your list to improve it slightly. And it's really cool to be able to do it. Obviously, the downside, some people could take advantage from it and move really radically the list from each round to another one. But I mean, that's not the main goal. We are here to practice after all. So it's definitely really cool to have that flexibility in this tournament. It's the first time I experience it and I think it's really cool to not make it too long, because after a while, I mean 2 months. In 2 months, a lot can happen. You have other games, you want to try out something different. So it's the third time. I think I changed already after round 1 to try out the tablet, and this time I try out the giant instead of the fast cav, and I remove the binding scroll and the tablet on the prophet to be able to fit the giant. So I felt overall I don't need all the time the fast cav, and I felt the giant might be more useful as a piece to play a bit out of the bubble like I did before with the Kadim Titan, but for a much cheaper price, and he is much more resilient to the spam of low shooting. Also has a lot of wounds, good armor save, so he might survive also longer to magic. So I felt let's try out the giant, and for that I had to sacrifice binding scroll and the tablet, but I think it's okay to pay that price. The rest remains the same. My opponent was playing the following list. He's playing 2 Greater Demon. We have the Scourge and the Morphakan, both of them with a lot of stuff and very expensive. You see here all the detail, something that I do a lot when I play against book and lists that I don't know exactly. And this was the case for Demon. It's a good occasion for me to refresh my knowledge about the book. So I try to do my homework, basically write down what do the unit, and just by writing them down before the game, it helps me keeping in mind, okay, I need to pay attention to that, that's something different, I didn't remember about that, and so on. So it's a good way for me to just recap what is in the list and what are doing the unit. So we have 2 strong single model, then we have 4 scoring unit, 2 mid-size succubi with the +2 on the charge against magical item, order with the same manifestation, and then a small unit of imps, so 4 scoring unit. We have an Orb Harvester, which is an engine of damnation, and obviously with the Aura of Despair, which gives him accurate, and then a unit of Veiled Serpent with a champion. First thing that comes to my mind, quite aggressive list, a lot of combat power, but no chaff at all. And then the Orb Harvester has a piece to shoot a bit, but it's an unusual type of list. I felt quite a lot of beef with strong unit, but no chaff, which is unusual for a list that try to be aggressive. We were playing Breaking Flag on the diagonal, and below you have the spell selection for both. I think here we can point out the fact that he went for full buff magical setup, so definitely he wanted to engage combat. Okay, matchup analysis. A couple of things to say because I had time to prepare for this game carefully. So it's a combat list without dedicated chaff. He could try to be out of the blunder zone with his single model, thinking mainly about the Scourge. I think the Scourge will be very careful about going into that range because the Scourge needs to be full life as long as possible since he's striking last and so on. So that's quite important. The way he's going to manage the Scourge carefully out of the range of my range damage is going to be key for him. Deployment wise and overall regarding the secondary, if you pay attention to the list, I have 5 scoring units, he has 4 scoring units. Meaning, if we play a standoffish game and I manage to use the geometry of the table with the big triangle to push into his deployment zone, and he does the same, so in a standoff kind of game, I will be winning secondary because I have more scoring than him. So it's more up to him to stop me and try to create something, and more of that. I think, what can I also say about that? is the fact that I will be winning the range game, meaning if he doesn't engage at all, I will be taking point out of this list. So it's really up to him to create the combat situation, to create the aggressive situation, the engagement, to win secondary and the battle overall. If he doesn't do anything, he's going to lose at least a little, which is going to be something that is going to be in his mind no matter what. The main risk for me, it's a single model, the Morphakan and the Scourge getting too healthy in close combat. If he has a lot of wounds, the Mo can heal himself in my infantry, stomp and so on. That could be very annoying for me, so I need to be very careful about that, how I manage the single model, and that's going to be my prime target for range damage, obviously. I will try to use the map to max my chance of breakthrough, using the big triangle, like I talked about so many times on the channel, protect my scoring unit, so I will try to create kind of a scoring base. That's what I prepared in my game plan. I wanted to have all my scoring together, no scoring basically left alone in the outfield, so that he could take it out easily and basically get a flag out of mine. So I'm going to play and focus strongly on the secondary objective, obviously, and ensure that the Bastion and the Bloodder are effective. What do I mean by that? I want them in the zone. I want them to close the small triangle from him where he could stop, like kind of stop or hurt my advance. And basically that's going to be a key zone of the battlefield, because if he's not able to stop the weak flank for him and my strong flank, then I'm going to get an advantage on the secondary objective due to the number of scoring unit that is higher in my list. So that's something also I need to pay attention by the positioning of the Bastion and the Blunderbuss, ensure that he cannot play into that zone without being in huge threat of my range damage. Estimation of the matchup, I felt I had the tool to deal with his list. It will be really up to him if he comes aggressively or not, and the way he does, if he does it smartly, how my counter charge prepared. So I think overall, since I have the tool, I felt good about the matchup, but it's really up to the skills of placement and stuff to anticipate what he might do on the attack. He has some big charge range, a lot of units, a lot of beef, so I need to play it well. Okay, let's move on to the deployment. My opponent won the roll for side and gave me very smartly the impassable in my strong flank, which is obviously very annoying considering my game plan, because this doesn't allow me to kind of use the density in my big triangle. I could have made, for example, like a column of anointed in the deployment, put also the levies here behind and so on. Here I'm really kind of constrained by this impassable in my strong deployment, my strong flank. So I need to be careful about that. I took a bit of time to find the best optimization of the unit around that house, and I came up with the following. But first of all, I elected not to start. I gave him the obligation to put the first drop. He dropped quickly the imps. After that I went with the giant. He went with the veil serpent, and after that I felt I've seen enough. I can target the imps, get the first flag quickly, and drop heavily on the strong flank is no matter what my plan. So I felt after that I've seen enough, I can start the game. So after that I dropped. I put Toik Anointed here on the right, Blunderbuss here, the Bastion, the Vassal Levies didn't fit here behind, unfortunately for me, so I placed them behind. We have then the Disciples of Lugar, the Academy Incarnate, unusual in the middle of the map. You know I like them sometimes on the, most of the time on the strong flank, but this time I felt I want my scoring base, all of them together. As you can see, my 5 scoring units are in this small part of the map, where the Academy Incarnate have more role of zoning, stopping, and can get into good combat. We have the Overlord nearby, and on the far left the Citizen Giant. That's not just only going to be very annoying for him to deal with. He has Veil Serpent, the Scourge, Double Succubi, Opa Vesta a bit in the back, and then we have Orders and Morphakan mainly. I think it's a well drop of the Morphakan that's going to target my infantry basically, and that's the prime goal for the Morphakan, so I understand that. But as you can see, the Opa Vesta doesn't fit that well in the list actually. It's a list going forward, and I think it would take advantage more of like 2 chaff unit or chaff unit and an additional threat, rather than the Opa Vesta that has not a lot of space to deploy it, and it's not going at the same speed than the rest of the list. Let's move on to my turn 1. I push forward on the right flank, obviously. trying to put some pressure, but leaving him with long charge range. And yeah, just start to shuffle the Overlord, move him toward the middle. I know that I will need to support the top of the map at some point, so that's why I'm moving slowly towards the middle, but still zoning the Scourge with Incarnate, with the Overlord, and also the Giant coming slowly back, zoning the Veiled Serpent, but also trying to come closer to the Succubi. I know that at some point I would like to have the Giant into the Succubi, if I can. And I get the Bastion within 18 of the Maw if I can. Magic Phase, get a Breast Weapon, did 1 wound on the Maw, and then I got a Mark for Doom, luckily on 3 dice against his 4 dice. And I did 1 wound to the Maw if I can, and I think he dispelled the Gravecoil. But yeah, that was not bad, 2 wounds done on the Maw. He has 9 wounds, so it might take a bit of time. His turn. He starts the aggression, so he chaffs me with the Imps on the Anointed and on the Blunderbuss, which makes sense. Pushes the Maw forward, pushes the Order forward. So really trying to attack this strong flank of mine. The Scourge reposition himself, but still quite far away of the Bastion. He respects what I might do with the Bastion, and he pushes also the Succubi, but like I said, he has no chaff to really block me, and the Incarnate are a huge threat. The Incarnate into the Succubi on the charge, I should be able to deal with him. The Smother has no effect on my Incarnate, since we are not same size, and then I can do a lot of damage on him, so I felt quite good about that. So the Incarnate are in a good position, and he also gave me, I think on purpose, a flank charge that could seem juicy from the Incarnate into the Orders on a 9 Swift. But, I mean, what happens if I do this charge? I will do a lot of damage, but he will still be there, and then he can just counter charge and eat me. And that's it. So it's not as juicy as it looks like, so I had to pay attention to that. In the Magic Phase, he got reroll to wound lethal on the Orders in case I charge with something. And then I had to choose between dispelling the fly move. He tried to do it on the Imps to move over me and be in the breakthrough zone. I don't know if it was a good idea or not for him, because it's like moving away with the chaff, but at the same time it's saving the scoring unit, and having something in my back is never going to be enjoyable. So I felt I have to dispel that, and I let go Twisted Effigy on the Bastion. Let's move on to my turn number 2. So, due to his aggression, I cannot take the chaff. I'm not in a position to, so I move slightly back, leaving him with long charge and using the Imps against him. Basically, it's kind of hard to fit everything. He cannot fit those 2 units into my Blunderbuss due to the Imps. If he charges with the Imps, he can put 1 of them. The Maw is like on 11 from them, so really far away, and you need to charge the Imp first. And into the Bastion, he can, I think, place 1 but not 2 due to position of the Overlord. I felt good about that. I placed the Overlord in a position to say, okay, I know that you are going to try to attack north, so I'm stopping you, and no matter what happens, I have the Overlord in a position to get good counter charge. I need to come in front of the Lugas, which is not ideal, but still okay. Since I fly, I can move and charge out of the way and then liberate the place, free the place for the Lugas. And here I just move back and move the Giant closer to support the Incarnate. So that's about it. Let's move on to Magic Phase. I got, I think, some damage spell, did another wound to the Maw, but nothing more, and then shooting maybe kill a Imps, but he has a 3-up ward save, so nothing crazy. He's turn 2 and he got some charges, so we got the Maw into the Overlord. Charge on a 10 Swift, he got that, and he also got the Orders on a 6 Swift against my Bastion. So that was an easy charge, trying to lock the Bastion. He chaffed my 2 counter charges on top, so I cannot charge into the flank. He gets the Scourge closer to participate into the combat later. And here we engage. I'm not seeing him, I think. I had no line of sight with the Incarnate against the Maw. And he pushes on towards the hill and towards me. And the Succubi cannot move that much forward due to the situation. He doesn't want to get charged by the Incarnate. So the Incarnate and the Giant are quite effective at zoning the Succubi plus the Veiled Serpent, which is okay because it gives me time to deal with the top part of the map, and we are going to have some exciting combat. In the Magic Phase, he got reroll to hit on the Maw, then he got, I dispel obviously, reroll to wound Lethal Strike on the Orders, which is a key spell, and then he got also make me hit on 4 on the Overlord against the Maw. Basically, shooting, he did 1 wound to my Anointed and 1 wound to the Incarnate with the Hope Harvester. And then close combat, we got 2 combats. So first I have the Maw against the Overlord. I elect to use the Kingslayer because I don't have any attribute of alchemy active, so I use the Kingslayer. He did 1 wound to me, which is expected, like you see. And he has only AP2, so that's his main problem. AP2 is not going to do much against the 2-up armor save, Lucky Charm and Lugar Dice plus a ward save Overlord. And then myself, I went back. I think I put something wrong. I think I did 1 wound more because he healed himself the wound on the wound he did to me. So he healed a wound. I did 3 wounds with the Overlord and 1 with the Bull, so rather good. Meaning he's down to 3 wounds. And he was losing combat by 3, but he's steadfast. And he passes his steadfast check. So no big problem here. He was able to pass also the reform check. And he elected to let me reform first. Regarding the reform, he has nothing that good to do because basically he needs to find a way to block the Lugars to charge here in the flank. So I went full left, and either he moved left, I can still charge into the Maw to bring some combat result, or if he moves too far away, I would charge here in the flank, which he doesn't want to. So I think here he didn't reform that much, but as you can see, not an easy combat for the Maw. I think the Overlord is not the prime target, and I was rather happy that he went to me because I was hunting him down. Then let's move on to the second combat. Order plus the Grind managed to do a total of 4 wounds, which is rather good. As you can see, on my Infernal Bastion, I managed to do 1 wound back. I didn't hit with the Crush attack, and he passes his check, I think, because he had the charge. I have 7 static res plus a wound, which is 8. He has a charge, a banner, and 4 wounds. Yeah, he was losing, but he passes the check, and that's all fine. My turn, number 3. I charge with the Lugars into the Maw to just bring charge, 2 rank, banner. Should be enough to make him pop. I have a potential overrun into the orders, but the overrun is not as sexy as it looks like. He has still a lot of wounds in the unit, meaning if I overrun into the flank and I don't delete the whole unit in 1 turn, then he charged me with Succubi in the flank and also Scourge in the flank, and then I'm in deep trouble with a lot of points. So the overrun is not that good. I think also that he left it on purpose just for me to make the mistake. Here I charge the Chaff and I position the Anointed far away from the Scourge, but ready to counter charge after the reform here. Here we stuck, totally fine with that combat for the moment, and I move back with the Giant and the Incarnate, still just zoning and getting ready for the rest of the action, repositioning myself in the magic phase. I got Rot Within on the Maw to make him hit the Overlord on a 5+. I just want to secure the combat, and even if I don't kill him, if he does pretty much nothing to me, he's going to lose combat to have a hard check to make, and if he fails it, then it's delete. So in most of the cases, he should be killed. Then I 4 dice breath weapon on the Overlord, he 5 dice and dispels it. Let's move on to the close combat. Obviously, the Overlord, this time I had an attribute of alchemy and I strike before him and I kill him outright, so no more if I can anymore. Took a lot of points here, quite happy about that. I elected, like I said, not to overrun, and then we went into that combat. I got a Crush attack and did max wound. He did 3 wounds to me, meaning he lost combat by 7. No chance to make a check, no general anymore, so even a double one was not possible due to his actual leadership. And basically he had to lose another 7 wounds. So actually the Bastion is like doing quite fine on his own, despite the fact that I have only low strength attack. The Crush attack this time did wonders for me, and I kill also the Imps and reform. So yeah, everything going quite well. His turn number 3. Unfortunately, he failed a couple of charges. He sent the Veil Serpent on a 10 on the Giant. He sent the Succubi on a 10, which moved to an 8 Swift into the flank of the Overlord, and sent the Scourge on an 8 Swift onto the Overlord, and he failed all 3. Which is unfortunate. He should have at least have either the Scourge or the Succubi. I think if he get only one, I'm not in trouble at all. If he get both, it's a question of what he does with the overrun. I tried to play it smart to avoid the Succubi charging the Lugars in the flank, but actually, if you manage to get through the Overlord, which is not that easy, it's going to be down to a leadership check and what we do in a dicey close combat between the Scourge and myself. but he will have a charger flank, a big flank, and a banner, and the 2 ranks most likely. So I'm going to have an art check, and if he gets that, potentially he could get some overrun that are not so enjoyable for me. So I think I could have done much better by just reforming everything in the front, and then if he went in, be ready for what happened next. So yeah, wasn't too happy about that. Obviously I couldn't flee with the Overlord that is Supernal, but I felt my reform weren't the best reform I could do. So yeah, not perfect, but I'm not punished since he doesn't make both charges, which could have been dangerous for me if I fail the check afterwards, if I lose combat. Anyway, Magic Face, I dispel, reroll to wound lethal. He got -1 resilience on the Overlord. He's going to shoot at me, that's the stat. He managed to do 2 wounds to me, which is not that likely. So the Overlord is barely alive. And then close combat, I crush attack again. I do a total of 4 wounds, I think 1 from the BSB and 3 from the crush. And basically this time it pops and I'm free. So that's not expected. Again, was a bit lucky on the crush attack. But yeah, 4 up, 2 up, then it's down to the ward save, and after that multi-wound does really good. So nice job from the Bastion here. My turn, that's the Veil Serpent. Yeah, I also wanted to check here. I think I did another mistake, is the fact that the Giant is too close from the Incarnate. Basically, I'm going to do similar damage to him, but he's going to have a charge. I'm going to have a steadfast check that's going to be shaky, and if I fail it, he could potentially overrun into the flank of the Incarnate, which was easy to avoid. So I should have been 1 inch back, I think, and also a bit further away from the Incarnate, that in worst case scenario, nothing bad, no snowball effect into the Incarnate. So I felt here, by slightly misplacement, some small detail, I tried to make it good, but by small detail that I failed, I put myself unneeded in danger. Didn't happen anything bad, but if he was succeed, all 3 long charges, like mid-size and long charges, I could have been in trouble. It could have multiple combat simultaneous overrun combat and stuff that were dangerous for me, and not the best case. I think I could have done slightly better with the reform and positioning to just avoid that. Anyway, my turn 4, and now it's going to be very complicated for him. I move all the shooting, reform, and move them within 12, out of line of sight of the Scourge, push the top, and here I just take no risk anymore. So I move back with the rest, and good luck to him to try to create any situation with 5 units left. It's going to be really hard. I lost nothing, and I put the Overlord far away to not give away any points. In the Magic Phase, I get the Breast Weapon on the Bastion. A Grave Call failed on 4 dice. Unfortunately, would have been really nice time to get a Grave Call, because I have like almost 40 shots of Bastion and Blunderbuss. So I would have really liked to get some wounds with Grave Call, but unfortunately I fail, and then he dispels Mark for Doom. Shooting, I will manage to do a total of 4 wounds. That's the odds, so nothing crazy here. I roll really high with that unit, making 4 wounds, which is a 5% chance total. And after that I was excited to get the Toxic Breath and the rest of the shooting, but I did 0 and 0, so it compensated a bit. But as you can see, overall, making 4 wounds is kind of average. His turn 4 is retreating, and nothing else will happen. I will try to push, but I'm not getting any points. This turn he dispels the Mark for Doom. I get an attribute on him, but I don't wound. I just move back, and I'm not going able to catch him, and we end up like that. So I got 1923 points. He got only half of the Overlord, and I also got secondary objective, which is 17 to 3. Deployment. So post-game analysis, deployment was tricky. I think I should have switched Lugar and Blunderbuss Warrior on the right of the Bastion. Would have made my strong flank stronger. I think the Lugars are a bigger threat for the Maw, so I think it would have been better to switch that and also get the shooting more middle of the table to also stop potentially the Sukuba if I need to. DL trying to pressure infantry. I try to put some pressure, but then he moves from another strategy, and basically the combat that were possible to him on the turn 2 were not that good to take actually. The more main target were rather infantry than the Overlord, and he went into the Overlord where, as you saw, it happened what was supposed to happen, which is basically the Overlord killing him in 2 rounds. And after that, the south part of the map, it was really hard for him to attack without any chaff to come in front of the Incarnate. He could have tried to use, like I said, could have tried to use the Opa Vester earlier, try to create a situation where he chaffs me and create something, but he didn't use it for that purpose. Turn 3, yeah, the Luga overrun, I think was the right decision to restrain myself and just use the frontage and make the charge impossible on the Bastion, which was enough for the moment. I had still time to manage the situation. Turn 3, DL, it was the second wave of aggression, and the first one ended up with successful charges, and the second one, he failed all 3 charges. I think I could have done slightly better to reduce my risk. Like I said, it's my main regret on the battle. I think I didn't manage well those reform and placement from the Giant and reform from Luga and Overlord. Could have created myself a better situation here to be ready in case he make those charges. So I think I could have done a bit better here. I was a bit too quick in the doing of my reform mainly. And the Giant, I think I didn't recognize the danger, the fact that it's kind of dicey combat. Anything can happen, I can lose, I can win. And yeah, I just could have taken less risk by just avoiding the overrun in case he's a bit luckier than expected. I still don't get overrun into the flank of the Incarnate. So that's some small detail which could easily, that's easy the type of thing when you don't do battle report, you would forget it because he didn't make the charge. So I wasn't punished for that small type of mistake of placement. And in that case, that gets easily forgotten. But when you look at the pictures and you see the situation again, you're like, okay, here I messed up. I should have been reformed otherwise to not allow him to get these possibles overrun, which would have put me in bad situation. So I could have easily made better choices here. And like I said, that's only down to the picture to help me realize that, which is always something I'm looking for, trying to find the mistakes and improve. Guys, that's all. What can I say about my opponent play? I think, yeah, he should have stick to the plan with the Maw getting into the infantry as soon as possible. Should have been his plan. The Scourge didn't really... It took a lot of time to make that wheel. I think should have started more centrally or more closer to the Maw and try to put pressure on that part of the map. And I think to the down part of the map, he had more units than me. He should have, I think, used something to create an opening. So use the Opa Vester to move middle of the map and force me to charge and take initiative. In that case, I created the problem for him to solve, so he had to take the risk. And the charge I gave him were not that good. So he had no really good opportunity on turn 2. He took the ones that made sense for him. But it's always the same. If you create problems to solve, your opponent might make some judgment mistakes and go into risky combat, and it was the case here. And at the end, it happened what the stat decided to make. I think it's like the most likely outcome happened. Basically, that's what we can say about those combat turn 2. Guys, thanks a lot for watching this battle report. So we're still doing fine in this tournament. We are close to the cap with 1 game remaining, so should be fine. And looking forward to show you the battle report of the last game. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon on the channel. Bye.